Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our leadership training videos. In these leadership training videos, what I do is over a few minutes I take you through some of the ideas and thoughts that have helped me to shape my own career. We talk about how to become a more effective leader. What is leadership all about? Why do you want to be a leader? Maybe you don't want to be a leader. If you're an entrepreneur, how does this all fit into your own work and environment? But more importantly is to leave you with thoughts and ideas that you can take away and put into your own daily life. My name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience leading training and developing teams across Europe, Middle East and Africa, and primarily the 5 major markets that I've worked in. And what I do is I just ask you to like, comment, share, give me your feedback, your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you know when other videos are becoming available. The topic we're going to talk about today is authentic leadership. What is authentic leadership? And then we're going to ask the question, what is it? And of course, what isn't it? And I hope that by the time we get to the end of this, you'll have a better idea yourself as to what that is all about. But before that, and as a framework for what I'm going to talk about, this was a book that I co-authored, and my topic or area was specifically visionary and authentic leadership. Visionary and authentic leadership. And in here, the book is entitled Secrets of Working Across 5 Continents. And the subtitle, which is equally important, Thriving Through the Power of Cultural Diversity. And in this book, which I want to use as kind of a foundational element of our chat today, I'm just going to read you some of the quotes from the individuals who contributed, because we sourced input and ideas from those who have lived and worked in at least 2 countries, whether it's their own or others, so they'd have to have lived and worked in those to give us the insights that we needed. And one person says, to be an authentic leader, I would say integrity is required. For me, an authentic leader is someone who has integrity and a desire to serve their company by developing the team and enchanting the clients. Someone else is much more pragmatic and says, say what you do and do what you say. That is an authentic leader. And somebody else says people can either behave authentic and in alignment with their personalities or not. For me, an authentic leader is a person that inspires by being both at the same time a leader and an authentic person. A leader and an authentic person. Now, what I wrote in here is that being authentic requires courage, because you do need to be courageous, and I'll explain to you in a minute some of where that comes from. You'll have to make tough choices, and those tough choices, you will not compromise, or you should not compromise who you are, where you're going, and from where you have been in terms of your behavior. And there are many other quotes within this book. But I haven't approached the idea of authentic leadership for a while now, because that book, in fact, I chose not to get into the authentic leadership conversation, partly because it's been so hyped up and made into a big thing, and it's very important, don't get me wrong. But by the wave of people getting into it, there's a lot of research that's being done about what an authentic leader is. There are a lot of opinions and ideas as to what that is. But this book, although it was published in 2021, we actually started this journey in 2018. So we were already on this visionary, authentic leadership journey before it became a buzzword. So I wanted to build a foundation, which we refer to in the book, around 2 individuals, Goffee and Gareth Jones. And they wrote the book, Why Should Anyone Be Led by You? Published in 2000. Why should anybody be led by you? And they came up with essentially 4 traits. 4 traits of authentic leadership, and they did their own research based on gathering insights from global leaders to create that information. So I thought I'd share that with you as the foundational element, so we get away from the hype and discussion and views and opinions and start with something that gives us a real foundation. So the first one is, there is an ability by an authentic leader to sense situations, so situation sensing. So what are the signals that you as a leader are getting, and more importantly as an authentic leader? What are the tensions? What are the reservations in the team or the company? What is the resistance that you're feeling, and maybe why? Try to understand that. There's conflict in the team. What is that conflict? So all these are situations where you need to sense what is going on, what is happening. And the way you do that is by active listening and asking not just questions, but good questions. And I've touched on both listening and asking questions in a previous video. So if you want to check back, you can listen or look into those and see what I'm talking about. But the first one is situation sensing. What is going on and how are you going to deal with it? One of the ways is by listening and asking questions. The second one is by having tough empathy. Tough empathy. Again, I've talked about empathy, emotional intelligence, being empathetic in a previous video. So tough empathy is about having a balance between getting close to members of your team or members of your company, if you're the CEO, certain board members, how you interact with them, what your relationship is, and remoteness. So there's a time when you've got to be close and there's a time when you have to be distant. That's tough emotional relationship. There's a question which I've touched on before as well, being respected versus being liked. Is this a situation where you're saying to yourself, I want to be liked, actually? Well, an authentic leader is less about being liked and more about being respected and trusted, because that is the key, and that is what gets them through the difficult processes and challenge in that moment. And therefore, you could say it's about tough love. As we have, those of us who are blessed with being parents, there are times when you have to adjust the way your children see things in the way that you don't want them to. So what's the tough love? It's being fair and impartial in every situation that you're dealing with. Okay, so you may get close and you may help them in a particular situation, but then there's a time when you go, I need to leave them some space, or I'm reprimanding them and therefore I want them to do better. The third point that they raise is called revealing weaknesses. So as an authentic leader, there is a moment when you have to show weakness. Now you may say, well, I don't want to show it, and that's a choice, that's a personal choice. But through this process of showing weakness, not only should you still have an inner strength, because that is what is going to guide you, that is your compass, that is your foundation, that inner strength. But there's a moment when you will be strong as a leader, and there are moments when you will be weaker. Maybe you're weaker because you've been undermined by something. Maybe you've lost a battle in the business or a contract or a conflict with a client or whatever it happens to be. Maybe there's a moment of weakness and you're thinking, I don't really want to reveal that weakness, but your inner strength should never change. You should always be totally confident in yourself. So there'll be a moment when you're strong, there'll be a moment when you're weak. But equally, this weakness piece could be that you have a knowledge gap. You don't know what you don't know, as the Americans say. There is a point where that piece of information or that knowledge, that insight, you don't have it, and you start to feel weak and vulnerable. It could be that you don't have core abilities, competencies, or skills, and you start to feel worried about that as well. Those are weaknesses. It's okay to say, I don't know. Can you help me, to a member of your team or your staff or someone else in the business? Or maybe there's a part that you don't understand. It could be financial, it could be technical, it could be anything. That's not your core skill and ability, but as the leader, you kind of think, well, I should really know that. I should be able to read those numbers. Well, you don't. You don't. You just have to be open and admit your own deficiencies and your own weaknesses, if you like. So being open and honest in that situation is really important. Then the final one that they point out is daring to be different. And I particularly love this one because I have always veered on the side of being different, being unique, because I discovered, created, developed things that with my team or on my own that I wouldn't have done had I conformed to whatever is going on. So the question is then, how far are you going to be different? You may say, yes, I am different, or I want to be different, but how far are you going to go to do that? Are you going to be as far out as you want to be unique and make a statement that you are who you are? Are you going to be just non-conformist? So maybe, for example, you work in an environment where there is a suit and tie required, and you decide you don't want to wear a suit and tie, you want to wear jeans, casual jacket, or whatever. There's a risk there. Daring to be different is fine, but how far out are you going to go in order for that to create problems for you in terms of your own future, because maybe that's not the way the company sees behavior. But then how far is also, you still want to be accepted. So you want to be different, but you want to be close enough that that difference doesn't create a problem for you. But at the same time, you want to hold on to your own truth about how you see yourself and what you want. So this is not an easy one. It's one that authentic leaders require, not because you're going to do something that is necessarily completely different, but you're going to be true to yourself. You want to be you. So I am me, and if I don't want to behave in a certain way, I don't want to conform in that way. But these are just things you have to work out for yourself. How far are you willing to go? Is there a moment when you're being a little bit different, and there are moments when you're not different? It could be as simple as, I don't go out in the evening with my team to have a drink or a bar or whatever. Maybe that's a choice that you make. You dare to be different. They may say, well, all the previous bosses used to do that. And you go, well, that's not something I do. Be comfortable with it. That's a choice that you make. That's you, and they will accept it as well. So what it isn't. Now, these are just a few. There are many others that you can think of, because I hear people who say, yeah, I want to be authentic because I behave in a certain way. So an example, somebody recently said, I like my authenticity because when I get angry, my team knows that I'm angry. I don't personally adhere to that. I think that's the wrong approach, and I don't think that's authentic leadership either. That's probably more of something in here, authoritarian or wielding power or whatever. So just because you have a certain behavior or character doesn't mean that you have to use that within the team or environment of business if it's not the right one for the team. So here are a few. Reminding people that you are the boss. I've seen that so many times, where individuals will just basically, even in meetings, maybe they don't say it, but they put it across. So someone's trying to speak and give an opinion, they're put down. Reminding people you are the boss. Wielding power. I could also put in here perhaps ego, the way you wield that power. If you don't do this or do that, then there are consequences. Authoritarian. This is the way it's going to be done. I don't want any discussion around it. For some people, that is authentic. I disagree. Claiming success for yourself as opposed to for the team and sharing it. So these are just some of the things where I've heard people say, but my authenticity is this or that, and it's linked to one of these things. I don't believe that is what being authentic is all about. So in wrapping up, I would say these are the characteristics amongst the various points I've raised before of being an authentic leader. And the key thing is always put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and say, would I follow me? Would I follow me? Step outside yourself, look at yourself and say, would I follow me? And do I fit the characteristics and criteria of somebody who I'd want to look up to? Because at the end of the day, you want people to follow you. Whether they're existing or they come to your team or your department, you want them to look back and say, yeah, I want to follow him or her. You want to inspire people. Remember, that's what leadership is about. So if you're authoritarian and you're proving that you're the best all the time, that goes against the grain and you're not inspiring anybody. And one of the things, as I read earlier on, it's about, and I've mentioned on many occasions, it's about integrity. One of the foundational pieces of leadership and authentic leadership is integrity. And then the final two are, you're there, again, as a leader to grow individuals, to grow your team. So your role is to grow them. And by growing them, you do it through your authenticity. And then anchoring it all, perhaps, in compassion. I've talked about compassion. I've talked about caring as a leader as well. So there's got to be a compassionate piece. So right at the beginning, when I talked about, for example, that balance, reading signals and understanding what's going on in the team. Why do they need a bit more love and attention, support, whatever it happens to be? So these are the reasons why people will follow you. as an authentic leader. So I invite you to take some time, think about it, review what I've said in the context of leadership and authentic leadership, more importantly. See where you fit in and what adjustments you need to make. And I hope you're already on the right track, in which case I wish you continued success. So hopefully this has resonated with you. If it has, please feel free to like, share, or comment. Give me your thoughts, your feedback. If you have other ideas on authenticity, absolutely welcome to hear it and share that with me. Feel free to subscribe as well, so you know when other videos are becoming available. And so until the next time, thank you.